Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to be working on this church revitalization project that I'm working on for my doctoral in ministry. Here, my cognate is church revitalization. And what I want to do is I want to focus on some of the issues. I got 3 different topics. Our first topic of discussion, what we're going to have here today with the panel is, I want to get your input on church revitalization as far as the decline in church membership and people attending church regularly on Sunday. We want to start with Tina Lawson. We want to start with this first question that I have here. When you think about the church decline, just in general, what do you believe are some of the biggest factors to the decline in church membership, people attending, and people just being involved in the church?
I think one of the biggest declines, you have to look at the family unit. I think, years before, there was, mother, father, so there were, moral principles and they would go to church. But now that family unit is different now, the dynamic is different. So we had to look at time. Women have picked up shifts, afternoon shifts, so they can't get there. And then just being guided to, even come to church. We've lost that. So you have to be able to attract the young people, and that's where we have failed.
Anybody else on the panel would like to comment on it?
Well, one of the things that I see that helps to the decline, to piggyback on what you were saying about with the family, well, you don't really have that family together. The family unit is no longer there, which means that a lot of times you don't have the mom bringing the kids to church, and then you don't have the grandparents contributing to that as well. But also you don't have the type of programs that we used to have, like when I was a child. You would have programs that would promote, like mother and child, father and child, the grandparents' day at church. You had the men's day, you had the women's day, and then on those days, people were encouraged to invite their, their family, their mothers, their fathers there to celebrate them. And then also one of my favorites would be bringing your friends and family day to church. And so that kind of added in to, bringing people into the church. And then once we had the people into the church, then we also had programs for them to help them. I just wanted to add that in.
Well, my perspective, I'm gonna kind of put a little spin on it, like a social on it. It is to still piggyback off of the things that you and Ms. Tina mentioned about the family unit. I worked in the field with DCFS and social work for 24 years, so I saw the disintegration of the family unit. There's also a disconnect with our culture. Like when we were coming along, if mama couldn't get you to church because she had something to do, big mama, or at the time, big mama or nana got you to church. Wherever you went, if you stayed with her, you went to church. So that part of our culture we're losing that. We've lost it actually. We don't have people that the kids can model, that the young people can model and say, hey, church is a part of our culture because it also enriches and brings about your spiritual understanding in life as a whole, because they're not being taught that life is a labyrinth, right? You go through the birth, the death, the life, they are not taught that. And then I feel that along with it, the technology has caused a disconnect from you to have that human contact. So they're not interested. They would rather sit and play on electronics than to have that human contact in that. And therefore, when you do have human contact, it's so overstimulating for people. So that's what I see as some of the attributes that are leading to that have led to the demise of youth being involved in church.
What type of disconnects, and anybody can randomly answer this question, what type of disconnects would you say, to speak to one situation directly, that you feel that the church is failed or the church is lacking to see in being able to obtain people, membership and activities in the church? What one specific thing would you say?
I would say outreach to the community. Like, we are not reaching out to the community to see what they need. Like, when I was younger, our church was near Princeton Park. I went to Resurrection Lutheran Church. So we would go and put like flyers in the mailboxes all over Princeton Park. And that's something that the churches don't do. They try social media, but when we did that, like, we would have basketball games, that's gonna attract the youth. We had haunted houses, that's gonna attract the youth. We had Easter egg hunts, that will also attract the youth. So we're not reaching out to the community to see what they need. And that's, that's a disconnect. When you don't see what they need, then they won't come.
So you think that could be one of the contributing factors that that's disconnecting, the church is not meeting the needs of the community?
Right, they're not reaching
Is that-
out.
What type of needs would you focus on right now? If you were to start an outreach program in the community, what type of things, what would be your number one form of connecting with the community?
Food pantries seem to do it, like when I volunteer, often food pantries seem to bring the community there. They see that, they do help the community. And then they, in turn, kind of see what the church is about, and that's how they gain members. So I would say a food pantry possibly could be something that they would.
You guys have any suggestions?
Yes, for myself, something that I'm passionate about would be like health and wellness. Because we need to understand, our bodies, we need to understand the body that God has given us, and then how to take care of it the right way. So we would need to learn how to eat properly, and not just, depend on going to the doctors where they're gonna fill us up with pharmaceuticals, excuse me, because I work in that industry. But, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, by the way. But anyway, but yes, I would do health and wellness. Some of the things I used to do was like, I would do like a community health fair. And so then you would have like different type of, exams for, not just the children, but also for the adults as well. And then there was a lot of education that was going on along with it. So I would add health and wellness, that's something that's needed.
As a church, I would, reach out and encourage like a youth night. Even if you had like a silent dance night and they had their headphones on and people just dancing to their own rhythm, it allows them to be still individual yet seen. So things like that. You got some kids, believe it or not, that like music, they like crafts. I mean, what is the draw? We need to ask them what their interests are, and encourage them to kind of get away from the technology. You can go back to that later, but you need to kind of get back to that human connection.
So when you say that technology is one of the biggest disconnects with our youth,
I think it's-
preteens into teenagers?
I think it's a big distraction, and it causes you to lose. You almost lose. You can create something on the internet or the social media that's not really you. It's not genuine, right? You can be who you want to be behind that screen, but when you come from behind the screen, who are you? So I think that I believe that with that type of disconnect, it causes confusion for them, so they don't know which way to go. So how can you build a spiritual foundation when you don't know where to start?
What were you gonna say?